Sergeant Darcy tells me you plan on flying this mission on 3/4 of a tank.
That's right.
You want to explain that?
We're gonna be landing inside the camp gates between these two buildings. Anything goes wrong, we need to be fast and furious and precise to get out. Now, with the weight of your team's gear, I'm concerned we're not gonna have enough torque. We gotta lose pounds someplace. Fuel's the answer.
Wrong. We need contingency in case we gotta reroute.
We'll have 20%.
That is not enough.
Well, I'm flight lead. Fuel load's my call.
What, are you spooked? About going back out there? That's what this is?
You forget you're talking to a commissioned officer? I don't get spooked, Sergeant.
Anything goes wrong on the ground, Captain, my team's gonna handle that. We'll get you the time you need for a safe takeoff with a full tank, trust me.
Well, that's just it, Coogan. With you, trust is hard.
All right, roger that. Like you said, your call, sir.
Awesome clip. So excited to have Matt Barr here from the show Valor. Give him a round of applause.
Thank
guys.
you. I actually haven't seen that yet.
Look at you pulling rank, man. Captain
Right.
Gallo pulling rank. I like it.
Doesn't sound good,
Appreciate
Captain.
that.
Sounds good.
Sounds really good. Tell me what you thought of when you first saw the role, man.
The characters that I grew up loving were always these guys that were kind of reckless and trivial, but had a good moral compass. You know, I found that interesting when I read it. I thought Gallo had all those things, and you know, and I've always been fascinated by the military. And
do you have a favorite list of military films that you go back to?
Come on, Top Gun.
The long
baby.
list. Top
Come
Gun,
on.
exactly. You're a bit
yeah.
of a maverick in this, man.
Exactly. Talk
that's what
about
I'm telling
inspiration.
you.
Yeah. I watched it 18 times.
Yeah, I watch it every time it comes on TV, man.
Yep.
When you first saw the character and you were reading the description, I mean, what did you connect with when you were reading that?
I liked the gravity that existed between these two pilots. You know, my co-pilot's the first female pilot in the unit, and I think that just like with the guys in the unit, there's a camaraderie that's built. You know, there's this enormous amount of trust that you have to be effective at your job, and there's an intimacy that comes with that, and a bonding experience that happens. So, I guess I saw that palpable gravity that would draw these two people together. My character and my co-pilot, and I thought that would be an interesting love story, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, what was the arc of reading that pilot? I mean, what did you think? Were you just as surprised by the ending of that pilot as well?
Yeah, and you know, the pilot left a lot of questions open, so I'm still learning as we shoot these episodes. You know what's going to happen, but I find
you don't know how it ends.
I don't know how it ends. Yeah.
Wow, that's great. So
I
you
hope I
can
don't
keep the
die.
secret.
Yeah, exactly. You know, kind of like the audience watching it, as the conspiracy unravels, you know, I'm sort of reading the scripts each week and trying to piece that puzzle together myself. So it's like, you know, keeps me interactive.
Who do you think did it? Who do you think is the one who placed him there? Who do you think is behind this whole operation? If you had to guess.
Who do I think did it? Who do I think did it? I did it.
They might write it into there we go. I like this. What did you think when you first met Christina? I mean, what's it like working with her and partnering on this?
We live life the same way. When she first screen tested, we had this chemistry read together, and you just knew. It sounds cliche, but like it was just there. Like two great kind of boxers that are well matched, and we had a helo lesson later that day where we went to the cockpit of this helo and tried to learn to fly, and we both just like, you know, we were just grooving with each other and learned that it was going to be a fun, you know, we knew we could dance well, I guess.
Yeah. What was the training like? I mean, you had actual Blackhawks right there on set?
Yeah. We used 3 real Blackhawks, and they're really difficult to fly. I don't know if anyone flies, but...
It looks like there's a lot of controls there. I'm just going to say. It doesn't look like it's easy.
There's a lot of buttons, baby. You know, you use both your feet and both your hands. It's kind of like, you know, tapping your head and rubbing your stomach kind of thing. So it's very difficult, and, you know, there's a shit ton of buttons, and so
That's in the manual, shit ton of buttons, right?
That's a shit ton of buttons, yeah. But, you know, we've learned enough now to where it's hard to improvise if you don't know anything, you know, about what you're doing. So I've learned enough where I can kind of improvise in the cockpit now.
So you got some actual pilots in there, and you got to ask them questions and get up in the air, actually.
Yeah, we have a tech advisor named Dan Laguna, who's was a special ops pilot, still does it actually in his 60s, and So he sort of walked us through the progressions and the composure you'd have, and not only taught us all the buttons, but kind of whipped us into shape in terms of how to walk and talk like an actual military pilot.
Yeah. I mean, that's not something that you expect when you're an actor walking onto a set, having to fly up in a helicopter. I mean, what was that experience like, getting up in a Black Hawk and seeing that side of it? Right.
Well, I showed up on the first day thinking that we were going to go up in a Black Hawk and fly. And, I had my aviators on. I was ready to go. And
you had the Maverick jacket on and everything.
Totally.
Go to my motorcycle
I don't know
to
if
set.
I'm cocky or an idiot, but I was like, the guy's like, this is a $30 million, helicopter. This isn't getting out of the hangar, But no, it was cool. Yeah, I mean, it's just like, I love flying. It's a magical thing. And I guess, seeing how these guys can kind of finesse and maneuver this, I don't know how much a helicopter weighs, but it's a pretty amazing thing.
Yeah. And what did Dan tell you? I mean, working with him, that you sort of keyed into the character for you as well, that you were able to take about his machismo, his military actions.
I think a big thing was, especially in drama, I wanted to elevate the experience. So, if there's a scene where our helicopter's crashing, as opposed to sort of, losing your composure and, yelling and screaming, it's, these guys keep their cool through everything. I mean, he was like, when that thing's about to hit the ground, you'd still be just kind of cool as ice, and talk to your team and say, we're about to crash, and, brace for impact. Yeah. Just like we were having coffee, kind of having a conversation. So that, I guess, just that sort of composure and confidence was a big part of it.
Yeah. And shooting in Atlanta, I mean, how did the cast, the crew, how'd you guys all bond when you're down there?
Oh man, there's some good food in Atlanta. So we ate a lot, and I'm a big margarita fan, so some margaritas have been drank.
Not too much. You gotta be training, I'm sure. Are you doing training physically?
I was about to say, we all sort of started this sort of cast boot camp together. So we would work out together, and I mean, literally all of us would get together and do it. And it's amazing when you're kind of sweating together, and it's amazing how close you get.
Yeah. And how's everybody do? Who's the best? Christina, I'm guessing.
Christina thinks she's the best. No, she's a badass chick. I don't know, man. Trey, who's stuck in Somalia right now. We got to go rescue him. He plays Jimmy. He's a good athlete. Yeah.
I mean, I love about this show is it does have a female special operations officer, and I think that's a great element to add to television right now. Is that something that you attached to as far as the script was concerned and the story?
I did. It's only one, I'll be honest, I didn't know that females could be in this unit. It's only been 2 years, and there's only, I think, 3 of them that exist that do what she does. So, but I like that what makes her extraordinary is not that she's a female pilot that's great, it's that she's a great pilot human being, Yeah. And in real life, too, if you get to that level of special ops as a female, I say, is there sexism? I said, no, if you get that far, you're just one of the boys or one of the team, I should say. So, yeah, they're all.
Yeah, and seeing the first couple episodes with Captain Gallo, he's a bit of a cowboy. He's a bit of a reckless kind of guy. I mean, are we going to see a bit of a character arc? I mean, how is he going to evolve over the series?
Yeah, he gets tested, and there's some flashbacks coming up that reveal sort of some post-traumatic stress stuff that Gallo, sort of things that drive him and sort of have given him that sense of recklessness, I guess is a good word. Kind of why he lives his life that way. He sort of, I love this quote, you got to live hard to be hard. And I think Gallo lives that way. And there's a reason that he sort of walks along that edge. It makes him a good pilot, but it bites him in the ass in a lot of other areas in his life.
Yeah. I mean, obviously you've done films before as well. You've done television series as well. But I mean, what is it about this character that you're loving to see evolve? As the scripts come in, what are you enjoying about that process?
I've always wondered, I guess, what makes a good leader. I played quarterback and when I played football, and my dad was a coach, and so I guess the theme of leadership has been a big part of my life and upbringing. And I can imagine a captain of a helicopter who, talk about stakes being raised. I mean, people's lives are at stake. Not only, American lives back home, but your immediate crew on a daily basis. And so, seeing him sort of evolve and become a better leader and make decisions that reflect that, I guess, or it's interesting.
And how's it felt to have the responses coming in now that the 2 episodes have aired Monday night? One episode aired last night, and we got one next week. I mean, what's it feeling like?
It's good. It's scary, because it's out there now, and I'm a vulnerable guy, so it's like, but the response has been great. I think I'm really proud of the show, and it's something that I would want to watch, and that's always fun doing something that I think is just, entertaining and moving television, and people have been really positive about it, and the show just gets better, and I mean that, like, as the story starts to evolve and things are revealed and it becomes more fleshed out. And I guess, I'm a big action fan, so there's like some big...
What's it like doing those action scenes? That's got to be really fun.
Super fun, yeah. It's ambitious, doing something about like when you have real fire, like next to you, and, there's just something that like...
You don't have to act too much when there's real fire next to you.
That's what I was about to say. You don't have to act. It's very easy. And real helicopters, like, it's amazing when you turn on the rotor of a helicopter and, it's...
I feel like you're going to get up there, man. I feel like you're going to take one of those helicopters, right?
Oh, yeah. Don't tell the insurance company, but we're going to do that.
I love that. I'd love to hear a little bit about how you got into the business, man. You started out in Texas, right? And you, Richard Linklater is part of that story, right? Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah. I was in high school. I grew up doing theater and always wanted to be an actor, a movie and TV actor. And Richard Linklater, who's based in Austin, had this statewide search for this independent film he was going to make, and I just auditioned in Dallas, sort of a random cattle call, and long story short, got this part, a movie called Leveland. And
what drove you to go to that audition? I mean, what was the inspiration behind that?
My best friend, who's still my best buddy in life, Ryan Ross, I got this email and just said, let's go audition for this thing. And I was trying to...
Fun night out.
Well, because I was trying to decide to go to drama school. Like, should I go to study drama? Like, there's no Bible that says this is how to make it in Hollywood. And so I just was, I don't know, I didn't know if college was for me. And I said, I'm going to go to this audition and just throw it out there. And then, 4 auditions later, this is a true story. I graduated high school, like whatever it was, on a Friday, walked the stage, and then got in my car and drove to Austin, and the next morning was filming day 1 of that movie. And I remember, calling my dad, being like, this Hollywood thing's easy, like...
What's everybody talking about?
And then I got my ass handed to me for a few years. Yeah, it was tough.
And that first film was Friday Night Lights, right? Is that correct? Or that's what the first audition was for?
You're right. I sort of made that. Rick was trying to make his version of Friday Night Lights, and that didn't end up getting made. But then they was also doing this film Leveland. Yeah. So that's right. Yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, what was it like that made you go to L.A.? That made you pursue? I mean, was that experience? What was it like working with Richard?
I wish being 18 and like I was so wide-eyed, but I had so much to learn about the world. But Rick knows movies so well, and he knows storytelling is the foundation for what you do. It's all about character and finding the shape of a scene. So I remember Rick talking to me about like shaping a scene as an actor. That's sort of your job, and the camera guys are going to set the camera, the lights are going to be set, but yours is to help. Just at the very least, be a storyteller. He also told me too. He said, to be a great actor, you got to get your heart broken a few times in your life. And at that time, that hadn't happened yet. And so since then, unfortunately, but fortunately, he was right.
Up a few.
Yeah, I think so.
I think a lot of people obviously saw Hatfields and McCoys. That was an amazing show. I mean, speaking of great people that you worked with, I mean, that whole cast. I mean, what was it like on that set?
That was a dream project. A quick cool story. I met Costner when I was a kid and said, someday I'm going to...
How'd you meet him when you were a kid?
He came to UT to premiere a movie called For Love of the Game, and a good friend took me to this kind of premiere. He was an alumni, and so I kind of made my way through the crowd and got to shake my hero's hand. He really was my hero. And I said, like, hey, I'm going to grow up one day and play your son in a movie. He was like,
You actually said that to him?
I said that to him, and I remember his look like, okay. He was wearing golf shoes, too. I remember that at this event.
Did you study The Secret or something then, man?
Yeah,
You're making these things happen. That's amazing.
Yeah, so when we got to Romania, where we filmed that, actually, and I knocked on his hotel room door, and it opened, and I was like, Kevin, it's me. He goes, who are you?
What do you think when you told him the story, the full story?
That was pretty cool. we became good friends, and he's been a good mentor, and I think he's a really classy guy that, to me, does it right, and sees as an actor, approaches it very much as a filmmaker, which I've started to try to incorporate that in my work too.
Let's talk about some of the other guys. I mean, Bill and Tom. I mean,
yeah,
you have some good stories there.
And Paxton, man, Wild Bill. I miss you, buddy. Again, Bill went to high school with my mom, I learned. And I asked if they dated. They were a year apart. He said no. I hope that's true. Yeah, I learned from Bill Bill has, no one enjoyed what they did more, He's been doing it a long time. He's been in half my favorite movies ever, probably. And he seems to have the same joy that I could imagine him having at 19 years old, moving to Hollywood. So I want to be like Bill in that sense. And Berenger is such a wonderful actor. I mean, he really is. He created that Uncle Jim, and that's probably the most well-rounded character in that show. Yeah. And he really disappeared into it. So, and a great guy.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you had a movie come out this year, Layover. Yeah, that was amazing with William H. Macy. Can you talk a little bit about that experience and meeting him and working with him as a director?
Yeah, it's weird to think that he directed this romantic comedy, I remember walking into the audition thinking, this has got to be a different William H. Macy. Like, there's a
few of them out there.
There's another one, right? No, again, being directed by one of the world's greatest actors, I think you learn a lot, and I learned about timing. Comedy is like, it's got to be so, you got to hit the bullseye to really get it right. And I haven't done a lot of comedy, so, there's maybe a little more flexibility with drama, but I think he taught me how to be real precise and again, just a guy that really seems to enjoy what he does, and classy.
Yeah, were you able to watch that in a theater with a big crowd and hear the laughs and everything like that? Did you have a particular scene that you were especially proud of?
Well, at the premiere, I took my mom in L.A. and there's this raunchy sex scene in it, and I remember having to watch that next to her, which was uncomfortable. But she was actually laughing louder than anyone, I thought.
Oh, that's amazing.
She's probably like, he doesn't know what he's doing.
She's also got to be pretty proud because you got Alex Daddario, you got Kate Upton fighting over you. I mean, she's got to be a proud mom in that moment, right?
Yeah, I know. My boys back home were like, you're the luckiest son of a gun out there. They're great girls. We had a blast. There aren't two more cool chicks out there. Yeah.
I mean, what was it like working with them on a comedy and having those laughs and hanging out?
Yeah, I mean, just comedy is so fun. I mean, I think I've been missing out over the years. Like, I want to do more of it because, you have to just jump into it, And kind of early on, we shot a scene with Molly Shannon, the legendary.
Another comedic legend, yeah.
Goodness. And so she came and sort of like, we saw what she was doing. And so the three of us thought, okay, we got to kind of like, I don't know, we can't operate at that level, but let's just kind of jump in and be fearless like Molly did. It was like just no regard for what anyone thought of you. And Molly would go for it and get naked if she had to. And that's sort of, I think, a big part of comedy is just going for it.
Absolutely. And you've worked with a couple actors who are directors, the Costners, the William H. Macy's. Is that something that you see in your future yourself? What kind of film would you want to do?
Ooh, that's a good question. I actually own the rights to a book called 12 Mighty Orphans, which is a period drama about this orphanage during the Depression and a coach that comes there and creates a football team. And they went on.
Sounds like a good story. Let's get this made, man.
Like Seabiscuit was America's horse. They were America's team. I like period. I love true stories, and I love big epic.
Do you have your dream cast that you would work with on that film?
I do. It definitely involves Robert Duvall. Tom Hanks wouldn't be too shabby. These guys. I don't know if you've heard of them, but they're pretty good. I wanted Sam Shepard, but we lost one of the great ones, but that's why you got to get on it. You got to just go out there and do it. And
do you have a script? Is it all bullet pointed out?
We do have a script. We're sort of polishing that script right now, trying to maybe improve upon it, and then take it back out. We actually met with Tom Hanks early on in the process, his wife actually, Rita Wilson, and so it's funny how. I'll be damned if, me and my buddy, when we bought the rights, we were like 23 and thought, let's just see what we can do. We've never produced a damn thing, and it's amazing what just like pure will and And
I'm telling you the secret, man. You know it.
Yeah.
I feel like you're making these things happen. Tom Hanks will be in your movie. I feel like this is gonna happen.
just dumb enough not to know any better, I guess.
I love it. Is this a character, Captain Gallo? Is this something you want to do for a few seasons? Is this something you want to live with for a little bit?
I would love to. Yeah, I love this guy. And I think you know, like I said, what drives someone to want to like fly into the fire. You know, I'm still trying to discover like where do soldiers get that? You know, like where do you draw from to really do that? I have a lot of respect for it, and I don't know, maybe I can, you know, take a piece of that with me when I leave Gallo behind.
Absolutely. And we have the operation that's getting launched, right? That's the 3rd episode, and we're going to see some of that. I mean, what can people expect from this next episode in Monday?
Yeah. So now it's one of our first operations back after the, you know, our crash, and so it's kind of like back out there. We're on edge a little bit because last time we were in the helo, we, you know, went down in a ball of fire. So we're back out there, and there's some flashbacks that you see too about what happened with me and Nora, my co-pilot. You know, in those 6 days alone in the Somali wild. Yeah.
Well, I can't wait to see that, man. Well, we'll have some questions in the audience. I'm going to start right there.
Hey, so I was wondering what kind of physical training do you have to do for this part?
We, I sort of do a CrossFit type workout myself, and I just sort of continued that with this.
I think I saw you did the Spartan race. Is that correct?
I did, yeah. I was going to say, I tried to get everyone to do a Spartan race, and that didn't work out, but yeah, a lot of like kind of group workouts, just a lot of, you know, your own body weight and gravity stuff we would do, push-ups, you know, burpees, lunges. It's amazing how underrated a push-up is. You know, you can just do those all day.
There we go. Absolutely. Next question.
Hi, how are you?
Hey.
I was wondering, what was the vibe like on set? Like, was it very serious? And I'm sure there was like a lot of like choreography almost because it's very like action-packed. So what was it like?
Well, I mean, I think because we all were having so much fun doing what we're doing, it was yeah, we were just having a blast. But I think, you know, there were certain days where, and there's a scene recently where a character died, and there's a, you know, sort of a funeral, and there's a lot of veterans there. Our whole background and our veterans, and so, you know, there was sort of this I guess gravitas that existed on set with knowing that, you know, these are real people that we're representing, and kind of a profound respect for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And one last question.
Hi. So with this character or any other the other characters you played, have you ever felt emotionally drained or psychologically drained, or had a hard time letting go of the character after you're done shooting?
That's a great question. I did this character on One Tree Hill years ago where I played a psycho killer. And it was the most fun I've ever had. I remember a couple days of that. After shooting a whole day, I would go home and I still had this like fake tattoo on my back, and I looked in the mirror and was like, Matt, you're a happy dude, you know? like what is this? Like, your eyes are bloodshot, you know? I feel like I'm going somewhere dark. I don't even know where that was, but yeah, I actually felt that way. Like I've been listening to too much like sad music.
Well, I'm glad you dropped that, man, and you're back to your normal self. Well, CW, Valor, Mondays. Thanks so much for being here, Matt Barr. Give him another round of applause, guys.
Thank you. Good to be here.